And welcome to this new episode in the new year of the Music City Mindset, which is located under the Nashville Fit Podcast Network. And we are recording the first episode of the new year. Not sure really when this is going to come out, but it's the first one for the new year for us. So we kind of got our feet wet in this podcast world. Got a lot of goals going into the new year. But one of the goals here is to really just iron out the dynamics between what we are providing to you as the listeners. And everybody seems really happy so far. And the biggest reason why I think y'all are happy is I don't have to do this alone. You don't have to just listen to me. This Music City Mindset, the host, we are Nashville natives. I'm here with a icon, Tennessee State legend, and then putting his fingerprint on everything high school sports right now, legend Deon Giddens.
Man, this dude, you took it up to another level with the icon.
Well, it's just us today, so
it's just us, man.
It's just us, so got to really hype it up.
Yeah, we vibing though, man. I like it. Yeah, it's been a minute.
Yeah, so you've been a podcast host.
You know, it's cool to say that. So when I add that to my resume, and it's like, you know what, I'm a co-host for a podcast.
Yeah,
it feels good to say that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
To your point though, new first episode of 2025. Got our feet wet, like you said, iron out some kinks, but I'm pleased, man. We got goals. You know that we always goal oriented. This is what we do.
Well, coming from athletes, it's like I personally don't have the fear of potential failure,
right?
That a lot of people have when trying something new. Didn't really know how this was going to go, but one of the things that I've realized that I apply to my personal life, my business life, relationships, anything, is the ability to take on criticism and take notes on that. And I think that's been, I attribute that to how many hours, probably at this point, months, maybe even years that I've spent watching film. Even if I had a good game, a good practice, there's always something that you could fine tune. And I think that there's something to say when you grew up critiquing yourself, even at practice, how you prepared, how you played, that allows you to just try something to see, then look back on it.
And say whatever.
Yeah. And I mean, in relationships, that could be like communication with you and your partner. I look at that as hey, we don't have cameras all around in the house and stuff. So it's tell me what I'm doing wrong.
Right.
Give me my film.
Essentially, that's what it boils down to.
Right.
But we grew up in that era, though, right? Meaning that you're going to get critiqued.
Yeah.
So bring it on. We good. You know what I'm saying? And I know the goal is to get better and better, right? Like you said, even if we had a good game, speaking from a athletic standpoint, it's still something I know I could work on. So I'm going into it this year, hey, mindset of, you know what? Let's fine tune it, dial in. We'll be better, right? We'll be better on everything we do. But guess what? The goal is to keep climbing. So I think we both got that in common. So that's a good thing for this show.
The mental get through, and I don't know if there's usually one that jumps out, but when you had a really ugly win, you want to be happy about the win, but sometimes that's the worst film to go over because you won.
Man, you won, but it's how mad can I be? But at the same time, it's I did everything wrong.
When you played like shit and won, it was kind of hard, like the worst film sessions.
I think that is harder to kind of do, especially from if you had the same mindset that we have, meaning I plan to dominate, I plan to do X, Y, and Z, but damn, we played an ugly game and won it. I mean, you're happy for the win, but it's it's not good enough.
Right.
Yeah, it's not good enough. So, yeah.
But I do feel like you can take that it's never good enough kind of mindset and go too far with that.
Some people stretch that way too much, but with parameters around it, right?
Yeah.
You know what? Hey, we did this. We're in the box. We're still doing our thing. But like I said, the goal is always just keep moving forward.
Mm-hmm.
We got to move forward, keep climbing. Which to segue, goals.
Yeah.
What do people think? 2025 new goals? Are you the type of guy that say, hey, you know what? I got this. I want to nail down. Or are you just like,
I couldn't wait to get here and ask you, like, are you a new year, new me kind of guy?
I'm not. I can't lie. I'm not. So
I don't want to say I'm anti-resolutions. Like
I'm not anti. Yeah,
like you need to set goals.
Right.
And sometimes it's good to have that like clean slate, new year calendar. You know, I do like goal setting. But yeah, I want to continue the evolution, not the resolution.
Yeah.
The evolution of being a better version of myself, and just improving what I'm already doing. Yeah, that's actually been a lot of topics lately. So I was really excited to get on some microphones and chat about it because, especially now, the brick and mortar of the gym.
Right.
You know,
because you just reached what, 2 years?
Yeah.
3 years?
Yeah, 2 years now.
2 years, all right.
2 years now. And so now it's coming into the New Year's, and it's like, if you watch what other gyms are doing, it's like the amount of people that wait for a New Year's deal, coupon, specials, and how much that plays into the direction that they go. And it was really hard to set any kind of deal or special because it's like, I want to give some incentive to like coming into my space, but also when you're here and you actually talk to me and get to know me, and most of the people that are members, this isn't like a resolution, like hit it hard right now, like kind of place.
Nah, it's
not. Because none of us really buy into that.
We don't do it. You know what I mean? Like,
it's a lifestyle.
That's the key though. You know what I mean? So it's a lifestyle. So what we do, and I think our mindset is the same on this. So that's why we can relate. It's goal oriented, right? But it's long term. This is a long term thing. This is not a quick fix. I know people always ask me, "You got any deals for boot camps or this?" No. The answer is no. I don't. Now you might go to another gym; they can do that for you. But me,
because I don't want to spend time and money on someone who's just looking for the deal, and then when things get back to regular pricing, or
you fall out.
All of a sudden, weather it's a little easier to like focus on something that makes you sweat when it's cold outside.
Right.
The moment like events started, things like that, that are going to fall off. Like
happy hour.
I want to invest. Exactly. I mean, no, don't get it twisted now. That's all. I like to have fun, but but again, I feel like I can have fun because this is a lifestyle for me, and trying to find that kind of people, and people to understand that. This is also an interesting time of year because with most teams, I mean, obviously college, now with the playoffs and everything that they're doing, college and pro are kind of syncing up together timeline-wise. But there's also the time of the year, unless you're on that championship caliber level, that you're going into the off-season, figuring out what you need to work on. So it's been kind of ingrained that this is the time of year that I look at improvement.
Okay, yeah.
That I always have looked at improvement because it's always been the end of the season now. Coming into the winter conditioning, like what do I need to work on?
Dude,
things like that.
I remember dreaded winter conditioning. I remember that, but it's the time for it though. Yeah.
And so it's like, I hated it too. Actually, funny story. I thought I got out of it my sophomore year at TSU. We were doing some sort of box jumps and like hops. And I hit that box one time, landed on
his shin?
No.
Oh, you just tripped?
No, I just landed on it.
Oh, landed, okay.
Just landed on it. And it felt like a lightning bolt went from the bottom of my foot all the way up my spine.
Goodness gracious.
Turns out I had a stress fracture in the arch of my foot. So I got one of those big boots that had like the inflatable things on the inside, the big curved bottom on it.
Yeah.
And, obviously then I couldn't run. So I was like, man.
You don't have to do nothing.
I ain't got to do my winter conditioning. So finally, after a couple of days of like really just going to the training room, trying to keep my calf and my ankle strengthened and stuff like that, getting blood flow to that fracture. But with a stress fracture, you have to wait till it is 100% healed before you can put any weight on anything like that. So like, I don't know, second, third day, really not doing much. One of the strength coaches said that when they were running, I had to go meet him in the pool. TSU's got one of those Olympic pools.
Yeah.
And I was like, I get to go swimming? I'm good.
Yo, that's the worst workout.
Yeah, I've been lifeguard and stuff like that, so I was cool in the pool.
Yeah. Until
I had a workout in the pool.
Dude, workout?
I threw up.
Oh.
I barely got out of the water.
I said you throw up in the pool.
Cramped up. That water, I would have rather been doing
Listen, I tell
that
everybody,
bullshit we were doing.
You don't want to do a pool workout. So,
I didn't know that. I learned the hard way.
So look, in Buffalo, like, so when I got signed in 2004, Willis McGahee, people who know Willis McGahee, he came out that horrific knee, and he tore everything in his knee from Miami, right, from the hurricane. So when I got there, he was already there. I think he came out the year before, if I'm not mistaken. But anyway, he was already there rehabbing, and one of the hardest workouts I ever saw. He hit the pool first, so that's like 30, 45-minute pool workout. Then he went to the turf indoor facility, and he was just hang clinging on the side. Then he run a 300-yard gas to come back. I'm like, this is like the rehab. What does a real workout look like? You know what I mean? Which most of the time the rehab is a little tougher than the real workout, right? To get back. But that was one of my first impressions of him. Like, man, this in the pool. Like, I'd rather stay healthy. I don't want to do the pool workout. I'm good.
It was so bad, dude. I was cramping up so bad, and because like at first it was like, okay, here's a pool noodle. Here's a I mean, the kicks, the run. I mean,
it's tough, man. Yeah.
It was more brutal.
Well, see, right now, I mean, you know, Christmas is past.
Yeah.
So I had to poll my wife. What is the top 3 all-time Christmas movies? What do you think? I got to go Home Alone.
Home Alone is a classic.
I got number 1 for me is Home Alone. I got to.
I love Elf.
I saw Elf for the first time this Christmas.
Really, first time?
First time Elf. It's hilarious.
Dude, it's so fun. I don't know one-liners from it.
Yeah, it's fun.
I don't know that I watch it every year.
This is my first time seeing it, but it's fun.
But I quote it all the time, every season. Home Alone, Elf, and I think it's a toss-up for me between.
We'll throw an honorable mention in there.
Santa Claus.
Okay.
Tim Allen.
Yeah, he's good. Yeah.
But also Tim Allen, Christmas with the Cranks.
Oh, that's funny.
That one's a good one.
Yeah, that's a good one. That's a good one.
When you get that Botox and he's like dribbling the, you know.
Yeah, Christmas with the Cranks is funny. No Grinch. Kind of, sort of.
It's an honorable mention. I think my dad kind of ruined the Grinch for me. My dad was like a big bass singer.
Okay.
And he would always want to sing that song.
So he kind of
a mean one. Yeah, my dad would crush it. Like, he's talented.
Yeah.
But he just did so much.
But you heard it so much.
Yeah.
Oh, I got you. I just had to ask. I'm like, you know what? We didn't get to do the Christmas episode, but like,
this was a weird year with that. Like, it didn't seem people were as festive this year
for Christmas.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It was different. So I don't know. But you can't go wrong with a good Christmas movie.
No.
So I got to add. Yeah, it always helps.
Put on the background while you're hanging some ornaments.
Yeah. It's always good.
I didn't even really go all out outside with lights and stuff like I normally do.
No outside lights. I'm just in house with it. I'm good.
But yeah, so you don't really. So how do you separate like setting goals for yourself versus like not being overboard with like resolutioners, new year, new me? Like, so obviously your goals are going to be more improvement on what you're already doing, like we talked about. But like,
I'm just all about improving, right? So personal growth. For me, my top things. If I had to make a list, right? Because I don't do a vision board, which a lot of people they do. I'm not against it.
I've never done it.
I just never sat down and did a vision board. But just for me, I know each year, like I need to grow. Each year, I want to be in a better position than I was than the year before. So that's the main objective. But to do that, I think just my spiritual growth is important, right? Mentally, I just want to be a better, husband, father, business owner, coach, the whole 9 yards. So once I take those individual goals, now I kind of go and I kind of start panning out. All right, what's first on the list for this year, right? I don't get into the coaching until a couple more months, but from the trainer aspect, all right, I need to lock back in and really take the training game up to the next level. So, I might go to your page and kind of say, all right, what's Blake got going on? Like, it looks good. Or talk to you on the side, like, hey, man, like, what type of things do you do at your gym? You know what I mean? So I'm all about just gaining more knowledge. I guess that's the main thing for me. Like, I pick brains of people I kind of like, okay, I like what you're doing. I might take something and just kind of put that in my tool bag and just kind of, just kind of expand what I'm already doing. But to me, it's important to not be afraid to go and look what other people are doing.
Right.
I think so much pride has come into the mix at times here lately. I feel like that, it's okay to reach out and say, hey, you know what? I like what you're doing. You know what I mean? Like, I'm telling you I like it. So if you see me doing it, I'm quoting you. I'm going to give you the props for that. Still don't mean I steal what you do, but it's like, you know what? If you're a basketball player, like, I like the way you shoot a jump shot. I like that.
Yeah.
I'm already doing my own thing, but I might
everything
add
at
that.
the professional level, I mean,
say, people do it all the time.
Copycat league, like,
man, you have to do it.
You have to be, and imitation is like the highest form of compliment. My question here, and you talk about that, is like when you separate like the categories in your life, like I have goals of a husband, I have goals of a father, I have goals as a trainer, goals as a coach. Those are like things you're separating that they're different. Do you see a correlation of things that you need to improve with one that is also like a weak link in the other? Or do you feel like with communication, obviously that's what they always say about, relationships, marriage, things like that. Yeah. I don't know that you can ever stop improving communication.
You cannot.
But with looking at how you communicate with your wife and the improvements that you can make on communication there, do you see that in other aspects, or do you feel like communication with clients is as good as it's going to get, that there's other ways you can improve there?
No, my wife, she'll probably say I'm out of scale of 1 to 10, 10 being great. I'm probably a 4 at communication. Yeah. That is how it goes. But but with that being said, no, it's. I think you can take communication and you can do that all the way across the board.
Yeah. It'd be hard for me to imagine that you're a poor communicator with your wife and a great communicator with,
so
with client. Like,
of course,
communication is across the board.
Yeah, so of course you can be better at home, right? And that's the thing. Your spouse or significant other, they see you in a light that nobody else sees you. So, the clients only see this. At home, you see this good, bad. You see everything. So it's always going to be a little bit more, a stronger critic at home, which is good though, right? So it can grow you. But nah, man, because the communication from the clients. Also communication with coaching and this training the athletes, it has to be clear, right? So precise, clear, that way they can understand, especially when you're dealing with pros. A lot of these guys already, they get over communicated to. So your job, to me, my job is to come in and say, hey, you know what, I'm not going to complicate things, but let's dial in some stuff, make it simple, but let's be real direct and clear with what we approach and attack. So I think if you keep that mindset, for me, that always has worked. Keeping it clear, keeping it clean. Don't make it super complicated. But we do need to attack these areas. So the communication, I think, it has to go across all those areas.
Yeah, that's one of the things I'm really attacking the business with right now is, I think that there was maybe some insecurities about how much people would invest into like real strength and conditioning. And so definitely try to like get out of my bag a little bit as far as like offering like yoga and HIIT and like things to try to please a lot of different people. And as I like evaluate what's the weakest link, like what could be improved, now I'm getting a lot more confidence to just like simplify it and like lean on what I'm really good at to then reassess and go there. But I think there's a lot of people, I think that's where they start like trying to overcomplicate things, get creative, do something different.
Right. You get out of your wheelhouse.
In fitness, man, people draw fitness and it just, I don't know, I feel like I'm about to go on a soapbox, but like people on it, like on social media and the influencers and things like that, they try to draw this line with fitness like it's black and white, to be able to say something to a camera on a microphone that's polarizing, so that if you do this method, you're buying into their method because they are polarizing on this topic. And I just can't get behind fitness being like that. I don't think that there's black and white. I don't think you can be cookie cutter. One thing that works for you doesn't work for me.
Right.
Doesn't work for this. It's so situational.
Yes.
But with that mindset, it doesn't allow as many opportunities to say something polarizing that's going to be like going viral, or a method that someone could buy into my method, because I subscribe to so many different types of things so that I could pull from different methods depending on what kind of client or athlete I'm working with. But then that almost, I feel like sometimes it prevents me from being able to jump on and be the 90-degree guy or I
get that though. And it's been like, I mean, I use the term struggle, but it's just being true to who you are.
Yeah.
And I feel like, because I get that a lot, right? So for me, I feel like if sometimes we're not great in one area, but if you have 7 categories, you're 8 and better out of 10 in all of them. With some of those people can't say that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, you get on Instagram and see the stuff. I mean, it's so watered down to me now. So I like to see the realness coming back, just the raw, and to your point, like, hey, this is not a one size fits all.
Yeah.
Like, everything is different for each person. Like, we can have the exact same body type, exact same everything, but the way it works is going to be a lot different. And to get people to buy into that, it's not real popular to those who don't really know.
It's not as
you know what I mean?
Sexy and shiny.
Yeah, it's not. No, it's not. It's not that big package, that gift that, hey, if you do this, I'm gonna guarantee this. No, what I can tell you is, if you do this in time, this will work.
Yeah.
Because at some point, it's science taking over, not just me telling you. You know what I mean? It's the way that I'm putting these, because workout order matters, right? Exercise order matters.
Yeah,
the type of lifts.
The 75 hard.
Yeah, all that stuff is like.
I'm glad it's there for some people, just like I'm glad Planet Fitness is there for some people.
But yeah.
But like, I saw something the other day that I reshared that was like, you don't need 75 hard as much as you need 365 consistent.
I mean, but see, I never heard it said like that, but that's the truth.
But I mean, I've seen people do the 75 hard and then they go back to.
Well, the same thing, right? People, I'm going to juice for the first 21 days. I'm going to do this fast or that fast. And then they look up. Yeah, you lost 15 pounds, but you put on 25.
You don't put it back on.
You know what I mean? So it's like, let's try to work for something that's realistic. Sustainable, and something, the key is just being consistent. You know what I mean? So to your point, man, like, I don't know. I feel like you kind of sell yourself when some of these people go out on Instagram, these influencers, and they just want to go get the viral clip. Because there's nothing to stand. There's no foundation to it. I'm just doing it for views. Same with the gimmick workouts. Like, I just never been into that, man. So
I feel like you could almost say the same thing if we're talking about all the things across the board. You could say the same thing about relationships. People start off with like, flowers every day, doing all this, but you can't.
They ain't screwed because they ain't got to get flowers every day.
I see people, they're getting into new relationships and stuff, and taking trips every other week. This holiday in a different country, and all that, and it's like at some point that's gonna cool down.
More power to the people that can do that. I'm good on that, right? But
I mean, everybody gets a cupcake stage when they're starting, right? But like,
listen, man.
But you can set yourself up as presenting yourself as a certain kind of way.
Yeah.
And then it's like, but who are you consistently? Who are you when things are hard?
Well, I think so. To me, that's the measure of a person, especially a measure of a man, right? So. The true you comes out like in the press when you're getting squeezed, like when hard times hit. Now your true character is revealed. So that's the time to really kind of dial in and see, all right, is he really hustling like he said he is? Is he really the type of guy that's can really take a loss and keep it ticking and kind of have that mindset, right? Hey, I forget about what happened. Let's keep moving. Let's try to go attack it again. So that's what I look at. But to your point, these people, man, they. It never works like that.
No.
You know what I mean? When you do everything on the front end, and then if it lasts a year later, it's like, wait a minute, you did this, and this, or even in the business aspect, right? You spread yourself so thin, you want to go do this event, that, and you never really take the time to kind of hone in on what is your wheelhouse, what's in your own wheelhouse. So,
I think our society as a whole is just like, what can you do for me now? Short-term memory.
Oh yeah, what you do for me right now?
Yeah,
like we forget everything.
Yeah, I think the advancement in technology makes it where even like looking back on footage of something, whether it be, something like world events or whatever, like if it's in a different quality that's not 8K, it's like, man, that must have been 100 years ago.
Right.
And it's like things like that.
It was 2010, really.
Right. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
It really wasn't that long ago, so we have such a short-term memory with our society right now that it is so much about what you can do for me now that if you're selling yourself, relationship, business, whatever, about like into the future, you're probably going to get looked over by people that are looking for that short-term satisfaction.
But it's a lot of people with the short-term satisfaction deal and goal and all that stuff. So For me, like I said, just to go back to recap, man, the New Year stuff, it's cool to have a goal. We want you to have goals as trainers, as businessmen. Yes. We want the goals. It's nothing wrong with the goal. But I always feel like that it can't be a gimmick. We're not in it for the gimmicks. I don't train people for gimmicks. Neither do you, right? So I want real results. Those come with being consistent, right, and showing up on your worst days, which they won't show you on Instagram. Everything is a highlight reel, essentially. So.
Well, it gets me because we're talking about you're setting goals for the year, but you can look it up. There's actually a term. I want to say it's. Don't quote me. I don't know if Ezra can look this up real quick, but there's it's called National Quitters Day.
Oh, Quitters Day. No, so that's the second week, the second Friday or something like that.
Yeah.
It's not the first Friday of the New Year. It's the second Friday.
Okay.
To where I
thought it was a little further out than that.
But we can look it up. At the break, we can find out for sure. But I think that it's the second Friday, something like that.
But what in our life, in any kind of business or anything, that if you hadn't hit your goals or seen any kind of real progress in 3 weeks, that you just give up on it.
That's why this is crazy.
I think people aren't really understanding that setting a resolution is I'm okay with setting a goal if this is where you're wanting to be in December of 2025. But it takes anything you want to do is going to take some time.
It's supposed to.
Yeah, it should. So the fact that people are giving up before the first month's over,
it's mind blowing. Actually,
it really is.
Think about it.
I don't have words to describe.
Yeah, it's mind blowing.
I mean, if we approached, and that gets back to I just don't know that people are really taking it serious, because if you approached a business that way, if we would have approached some of the ups and downs, starting this podcast that way, nothing would ever get done.
Nah, we would have quit a long
time ago, man.
First one was
scheduling and everything, it would have been out the window forever ago. And it's
the want to is
the
not
grit
there.
to push through.
That's what I'm saying. The grit,
how bad do you really want
it? That's what we don't know.
Yeah,
but we'll find out.
It sounds good.
It all sounds good until you got to do it.
You got to sacrifice. You got to, when you do, when it's cold outside.
Sacrifice. That's what we got to get back. Sacrifice. That's the key, man. The key term, sacrifice. Yeah.
All right, let's dive into some sacrifices on the other side of the break after a word from our sponsors.
Here in Nashville for the 7th Country Music Marathon and Half Marathon. I think it says a lot about the city of Nashville, what it has to offer.
And we are back. During the break, we looked it up. January 10th. It's the second Friday.
So I think that changes, right, though, year to year.
Well, I mean, first of all, who said that? Who decided that? No one asked me. But,
I don't know, but yeah.
But the fact that somebody out there is already saying that 2 weeks in,
you're done.
Essentially,
you're done.
That people haven't implemented whatever they're trying to do into their routine enough by 2 weeks, and at that point it never clicked and they're done with it. National Quitters Day is the second Friday, 2 weeks in.
2 weeks. What camera? Don't quit. Hey, give yourself more than 2 weeks. Do not quit. Don't be a part of these 2 million, 3 million people. I'm just guessing. You sign up for the gym, don't quit. If you come to us, don't quit, please.
So that means
it's ridiculous.
This Friday is the 10th. It's a Monday the 13th.
Show up. Check the gym. Show up. Please show
Monday
up.
the 13th, show up.
Show up.
But yeah, I mean, it is hard to start something new.
It's strange. It's scary.
You have to rearrange your scheduling, but just kind of like what we were talking about. If you bite off too much more, some people, they quit because they do too much. Some people aren't doing enough. So that's where I think, obviously, shameless plug, having a trainer or a coach.
Right.
What I tell people, I had a consultation yesterday. What I told them was that I feel like it's my first responsibility to listen to where they think they want to go and educate them to make sure that with what they're willing to put in, that that's realistic.
Right. A real assessment.
Yes.
Like let's assess the goal first.
Yes.
Yeah.
And is that goal realistic? But also, are you willing to put in enough to make that goal realistic? Because who am I to say that goal is not realistic for anyone? Just hearing you, like, you just say what your goal is. You want to lose 100 pounds, whatever. Like, who am I to say that you can't do that? But if you're not willing to work for it, so helping people understand what is realistic effort to pursue and achieve that goal.
Yeah, that's the difference.
And then allowing that person to make an educated decision on what their goal really is. And I feel like that's always the first step.
Have you had to like burst bubbles in doing it? I remember I had a client come to me and she was like 6 feet, I guess. She probably weighed at the time 150. And she was like, yeah, I want to lose like 10, 15 pounds. So I had to like, no. You come to me, we can't do this. Number one, it's not healthy, right? So I need to look out for you first. Your health is my number one concern. So you say, so I had to just kind of rearrange her mindset.
Yeah.
And once she did it, I mean, we put on like maybe like 15, 20 pounds of like solid, good weight to where it looked phenomenal on her. But looking back at the picture,
she just wasn't educated.
She could not believe. She's like, I'm so glad you stopped me from doing it. I'm like, well, that's our job first, though.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So yeah, it's difficult sometimes bursting these bubbles, but you have to make sure that, once again, going back to what we said, to stand true on what you do. Yeah.
What I like to do, and I don't know if this is normal or if you do the same thing but phrase it differently, but I tell a client, like, I want you to express where you want to go. You just don't know how to get there, which is why you're hiring me.
Right.
So now we both know where you want to go, but we're not going to achieve that together until we're speaking the same language. I look at it as, if they're uneducated in the fitness professional world, then that means that we actually speak two different languages when it comes to achieving a fitness goal. And so I look at it as like, we have to translate. We kind of got to go through that weird, awkward Google Translate phase. And then once we're fluent on the same language, then that's when the progress can really happen. And that's like buying into the, trusting the process and all that like cliche, gimmicky stuff. But
it's true, though.
But it is.
The trust the process is true. I mean, because once again, man, you getting somebody, number one, they paid you. That's what I tell people. You paid me. So at this point, I'm considered the expert. So you got to trust me to lead you down the right path. That's number one. But with that being said, a lot of these people, once again, it's so easy to get knowledge and information, right? So they come in already with
kind of like the right stuff.
That's what I'm saying. It's a skewed view on like, all right, this works for that person, but I'm gonna apply it to what I do. And you bring that to you. A client comes to you and is like, no, this is not it. Like, we need you to do this and this. This is completely opposite from what they've ever heard and what they just looked up and Googled or so on and so forth. Now that's the real part. Like, all right, you got to make a decision now.
Well, and that goes back to what we were talking about. Like, people online, people on social media, especially if they sell something, really they're selling dreams.
It's a dream.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people had work done, right? They'll never tell you. Nip Tuck, Ozempic, which is killing the game. You know what I mean? So
they're making some money.
The BBL.
Again, and it's everything's situational. I'm not anti-Ozempic. I'm not anti the medication, things like that. But it's supposed to do a certain thing for a certain type of person to jumpstart something so that they can start living a different kind of life to set up a different routine.
Right.
But people just look at it as finally there's this like miracle drug,
Yeah. And once again, like I said, it works for some people, and some people actually need it. So I'm okay with that.
Yes.
And then I'm all about the jump start, right? But I just want to give people just the best way. This is long term. You know what I mean? Like, this is something that is once again, it's not microwavable. It's not something we do right now, 30 days. No, it's gonna take time. So that's why you come to us. People like us, I feel like, it might not go viral all the time, but the testimonials and the people and just because that's your marketing right there, right?
Well, and it is a fine line you know, and I think you would have a great perspective on this because you work with lifestyle people and you work with athletes. Athletes, it can be a very transactional process.
Right.
I want to be faster. I want to be stronger. Here's money. You make me faster.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But like the athlete has to put in the work. Mm-hmm. Just the transaction of money changing hands doesn't make anyone faster.
No.
You know, you can lay out the best plan in the world, but if they're not putting in the work and sacrificing to do things outside of their session with you to then that helps you help them faster, it's not going to go the way they think it is.
Complete opposite.
Yeah. And I've turned, you know, where lifestyle people are a lot more appreciative than the athletes can be. Yeah. As far as like giving them life-changing knowledge, where that's a big part of changing their life, where you're just another coach I can
go to another city and do the same thing, right?
Right, so. Exactly. It's like, you know, even if you getting to college, the amount of coaches,
strength coach, PT,
so you're just a blip on the radar sometimes. You know, so if you're not, you know, I'm not saying all athletes are ungrateful, but it is a lot more transactional. But like, you have to put in the work. You're getting paid as the professional, and I think anyone choosing to pay me and being, you know, vulnerable and choosing to do fitness with me is an honor without sounding.
No, it is.
But like at the same time, they still have to put in the work. You're paying me to make you work harder.
All the above, right? Yeah. So we're gonna guide you and kind of lead you into the right path. But man,
I mean, it's the same thing that how I feel with like, you know, any kind of like steroids, performance enhancers. They don't do anything for you. They allow you to work harder. But if you're not going to work harder, they're not going to do what you want them to do. Now same thing with a coach.
That's touchy though, right? Because I tell people, I say, you know, yes, I don't agree with it. You know, any PEDs, whatnot. But the reality is that it doesn't make you jump higher. No. It doesn't make you run faster. No. It doesn't make you hit the ball any harder. You just have the ability to work harder than the next person.
Yes.
Essentially. Right.
And I'm not, I mean, again, situational, some sports
tests. It's a lot. Yeah, I get it.
And so not to really talk about, you know, PDs specifically, but the analogy that most of them really what they do is they allow you to recover faster so you can work harder.
That's it.
Right.
That's what we're doing.
So you can work harder. But if you're not working harder, those won't do what you want them to do. And the same thing with hiring a coach.
Right.
If you're not following what the coach is saying, you're not working hard, you're paying them. That's what I get paid to do, is to help people work harder. And if you're not working harder,
man, you get so many people coming in.
You got to buy in.
But that's the term, like sacrifice. So when we say sacrifice, what is in a fitness world, like, you know, day to day sacrifice? What's it look like for you day to day? What do you do to kind of get the people ready? Because they don't see the backside of kind of what goes on in the day to day life of Blake, running your gym and, you know, being a good guy at home and the whole 9 yards.
Sacrifice is I think a gradual, if we're not talking athlete,
right,
general population, lifestyle kind of client. Sacrifice, I try to limit, you know, that the necessity of sacrifice gradually. Because again, I don't want anyone to bite off more than they can chew and get overwhelmed and stop everything. Mm-hmm. So it's like almost taking one step at a time. You can't outwork a bad diet, but if you can at least buy into the community and the fun part of working out, then that where's the natural organic conversation is, well, how can I make these workouts more efficient?
Yeah.
How can I get better at these workouts? And then we start talking about nutrition, which is usually the first and hardest sacrifice.
I think everybody agree with that.
Yeah.
The eating part is like, it's tough.
Some people who've never worked out don't understand that sometimes the workout is the easiest part to implement into your routine.
Yes, it is.
But then the, you know, alcohol, the diet that comes with that, and again, it just comes down to how bad you want it. But I try to make it where it's like a step-by-step thing, not
throwing 100 things at you at once, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. So, because some people, I mean, I've had people come like, man, I just feel like I can't do it. It's almost like a give up thing, right?
Yeah.
So it's like, man, I'm trying to do 3 things on the first day. I'm trying to change this. I'm trying to get more rest. I want to quit drinking. I want to eat right. I'm like, listen, let's just slow this thing down.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Let's implement nutrition first, right? Because if we do these things first, number one, your body's going to feel a little bit better, which is going to, number one, allow you to come do a little bit more work, right? Then we can kind of be more efficient and kind of dial in what we're doing. All right, your goals are this, this, and this. Now let's start attacking it. But without that first phase, man, which, once again, at the beginning of the year, phase 1 is necessary.
Even if people get all of the right information of looking stuff up online, if you, if you've been eating poorly and you try to meal prep, if you never really exercise that much, and then now you're, going to 4 or 5 classes a week, and then adding that into a schedule of work, family, socially, things like that, all of a sudden, next thing you know, you're a completely different person. And you don't know how to maintain that yet.
Right.
And so I feel like you have to find, some people might love cooking, and all of a sudden they find a new love for cooking and meal prepping, but they just can't get to the gym. It's like, my advice would be find that first thing that makes you excited about doing it the next day.
That's what I'm about to ask you.
Some people that's working out. They meet people, they meet friends, they, doing all of that. They can't quite get their diet in check, but they're showing up at the gym every day. Whatever it is that makes them excited about showing up for themselves, do that first, then find what step 2 is.
That's a great point, man, because I was about to ask you, all right, what advice and what would you tell the people? But that's on any level, but especially in the fitness world, though, right? Because it's tough to show up. And I think people, just because we on the other side of the rack, right, other side of the bar, kind of watching, coaching. But I think they don't understand, it's days I don't want to do it either.
Oh, not at all.
I don't want to work out today, but we get it done. And on top of it, I still put my all into you. So it's it's twofold for us, but that's why we on this side of it, though.
I mean, especially becoming like an actual gym owner, working in the gym every day, working on the computer, the numbers, the marketing, the programs.
Everything.
Once everything that is required of me is done, the last thing I want to do is change shoes and go out there and lift. I'm ready to go home.
Right.
And sometimes it's better that I just do.
Well, but that's being smart, though, right? And that's the last point. I think that be realistic with yourself on top of that, but know when to fold it. It's okay. It's okay.
Yeah.
Because the long-term game is we live to fight another day.
Right.
And that's the mentality I try to get people to have. It's okay. You come in, you injured, we hurt. Guess what? Because the reality is every day, your 100% today might not be what it was yesterday. Meaning what you're able to just output and exert.
Yeah.
That's okay.
That's why we switched, our group fitness program, we switched over to the RPE scale. Mm-hmm. Are you familiar with that? RPE?
Tell me about it.
Yeah. That stands for rate of perceived exertion. Mm-hmm. So on any given day, knowing it, assuming someone would come 5 days a week.
Right.
We can change their efforts
yes.
on that scale of 1 through 10.
Yep.
Sometimes it's going to be a 7, 7.5. Some days it's going to be an 8, 8.5, somewhere in that scale. And so we can control their exertion. Mm-hmm. But to your point, sometimes it might be someone's time of the month, work stress.
Anything.
Didn't sleep, up with your dog kept you up all night because he's sick or something. So 1 week, an 8 might get you, a couple 100 pounds.
Right.
But the next week, everything feels heavy and, it's, less than that. And it feels the same amount of exertion is required to lift that. So we try to use that because then that kind of allows a little bit of grace for whatever 80% essentially feels like.
Is for that day.
But then not locking people in, this is my 80%. Next week it feels heavy and I can't lift 80% this week. And trying to prevent people from getting into their head that they're not progressing or things like that, kind of allowing that. But then that opens it segues for the conversation of okay, let's talk about why this RPE 8 doesn't feel the same as last week. Let's look at stress management. How did you sleep last night? Have you eaten today? Then that starts opening the doors and shows them how the other aspects of their life, the other pillars of what can make someone fit or not, what that plays in their life and how it affects them in the weight room and things like that they might not have ever seen before.
Yeah, and don't think about it, right. So with Mookie's with the Red Sox, that's when I got introduced to that. So they had a machine and a scale, right? So every lift is this, so it's accounted for, it's measured. But if you're coming off a 4-game road trip and you have back-to-backs or double headers and you come in, well, it's not going to look the same.
No.
My 80% today is not the same as yesterday. Yeah. So, but no,
especially with what just happened with the holiday season being on Wednesdays in the NFL. Like how many teams had 3 games in 10 days?
Yeah, it's crazy. You know what I mean? So the wear and tear on the body is ridiculous. But from not only from the general population aspect, but even for the pro athlete or any athlete, right? Yeah. You gotta understand that part of it, because once you break down those pillars, that's when you start becoming elite in your own way. That's when you become the best version of yourself, in my opinion, right?
So then when the weight room can't be as advanced as it was, you can dial in the nutrition a little bit more. Yeah. When the sleep can't be there, you can back off something that, and like kind of make everything balanced.
Balance, that's the key.
As opposed to just, I stay up late, like drinking, I eat like shit, and then trying to push the weights to compensate to everything else.
It won't work.
You're going to burn out.
Or you'll crash. You know what I mean? You'll crash. It might feel good for a couple times, but you'll crash, and you'll crash hard. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but that's that short-term gratification.
Right.
That's a balancing that out so you can not have to have the same goals as last year. Yeah. Because that's I feel like the missing piece is you shouldn't have the same goals every year. Every January you shouldn't be having the
back
same
at square one, doing the same stuff.
Right.
Yeah, I agree with that. That's what I'm saying. The goal is to, mature, and even setting the goals, and that being mature in itself, right, as a person. So personal growth, just knowing what to do, what you want to check off your list, and then just the plan of action at the end of the day. You know what I mean? So all y'all listening, man, make sure, it's okay to set the goals, go for it. If you slip on something, that's okay too. Just make sure you get back up, finish it, and just think long term. It's okay to have short term goals, speaking fitness, that is, but long term longevity, that's the key. To me, that's the real example, and that's the real, the end goal, the end game. What do I look like at the end of this 365? Yeah. Not at the beginning. Yep. So there it is.
There it is. First episode of the new year
man,
in the
fun,
books.
Man. In the books.
Man, I'm excited where this year's going to take this show.
I'm excited, man. I think we're going to have a good time, man, doing it, new guests coming on, man, and just the maturation between you and I, man. So I'm loving it, man. Yeah. I appreciate you, brother.
Hell yeah.
Yeah,
appreciate
man.
you.
Yeah, so look, I love this episode, first one of the year, so I know y'all did too. Make sure you click, like, subscribe, and, man, can't wait to have y'all back, man, and listen to what we got going on for the rest of 2025.
And for the love of Nashville, tune into the next one.